find a whole range of sort of plain colours and then a whole range of sort of more specialty ones. I tend to mix them up. With a garland you need 2 different colours, or 2 different rolls I should say, you can have the same colour, to create an entire base, which is normally 2.7 metres. So I tend to go with a plain one which is a bit cheaper and then use one fancy one and then something over the top of it. So again, we're just going to start, I'm going to use the pipe cleaners again. To start off with, kind of you're pinching the mesh the whole time. Now I just want to create an end because what it does is fray. Okay, so if I create an end like that and put it in, then I can tie with those pipe cleaners the other ends underneath. Just making sure I'm in video here.
So that garland you've got up there?
Yes, it's 2.7 metres.
So that's
the same thing.
Yep.
Yep. So that took 2 rolls and then the top layer not quite a full roll. Oops. And I always just neaten up as I go on this one, so it's a bit easier.
This is the leftover bit from the last garland, is it? Or is it
I cut it down because I knew that that's the length I needed. I thought that way I can demo the whole, making a whole piece as well. It's a bit long if I kind of spend an hour while doing this. Now, when you lay it all out like I am, I'm left-handed, so I work over to my left side, but just try and work to whichever hand, whichever you prefer. And you just sort of want the bunch, you don't want a big bunch in the middle like that because it's never going to sit nicely. So when you work the mesh, just make sure it's kind of straight and taut. And we roughly use the pipe cleaner pack as a guide to the length. So I know someone else has actually made the ones outside, but using this, I just have to bring this in a little bit and we'll have exactly the same garlands and no one will tell the difference. With the 2 colours in a garland, you crisscross over your mesh, so work one way and then the other. And when you tie it up, the key is also to try and make that as tight as you can. If you keep it nice and tight, everything will sit the way you want it to. So I've got to the end here, I'm just going to cut enough that I can make another one of those kind of ends.
Now if you didn't want to add the second colour, you could just decorate that with balls on it.
And at the beginning here, I'm just going to undo my end. So, and I just want to put that back under, kind of making it about the same size as my other one. And put it back. And then again, I'm going to find the ends here. And just clean them up with the pipe cleaner. So imagine we've got 2.7 metres of that. Then we're going to come back with our second colour, doing exactly the same thing. Oh, when you, it does sometimes stick to your clothing too. So either wear an apron or older clothing because it can pull it a little bit. So I'm going to undo my first loop here. Okay, put it back in there and just try and get that as tight as I can. Occasionally you'll have a tie that will break, then you just use the pipe cleaner to finish it off. And this one, when we first did it, I was like, oh, I'm not sure that I like the white, but we added the 3rd layer, which I'll show you, and that just brought it all together. So sometimes it's the ribbon or a 3rd layer that will just kind of incorporate the 2 that you've got on your base. With the garland, which is a bit different to the wreath, I always undo my previous ties and then put it back in there again, so that again it's just keeping it as neat and as tight as you can. So, see how I'm kind of working across the opposite way now with the colour as well. So I had the white come through here and here, so I'm just working it the other way. Undo that. And if I do this and untie it here, I don't need to untie it again for the third layer. The base will be fine. Now you can make them a bit buffier than I've done here if you want to. So it's amazing just making another sort of inch bigger, each of the loops, how much fuller the whole thing is. So it's just personal choice. That one just looks a little bit smaller, just pull that out a bit. Okay, so again we're just going to this up. And again, we're undoing it, taking the whole loop out, putting the ends underneath and just tying it back up, and then clean those ends up. Just turn that over. End here, and we'll just again pipe cleaner it up.
You did want to add some baubles to that in
Yep.
between.
Yes?
Just stick them on or just
I didn't
clean them in? Do you want me to show you that?
I pipe cleaner, and I can show you how to do that. Alright,
Oh, okay, yes, I like that.
so then we've got our base, okay, and for this one, just because I'm copying the one we've got out the front, I've got a third layer of the finer mesh that we've put over the top. When finish. And just because it's the first one and there's so many layers, and here I am undoing it, but after this I don't undo the rest. Yeah, first and end. And then, this is again a bit of a personal thing, how sort of buffy do you want that last layer to be? I'm just sort of using it to incorporate the other colours, so I don't have it very big, but we just work it through over the top. Just untie that. And just untie the whole thing because it's that last end. I'm not even going to try and clean those corners up. I'm just going to hide them underneath that last lot of ends because we've got so much on there. Make sure I've just got it run up through. I want that a bit smaller. Okay, so that's what we've done. Now to put a bauble on, we just have baubles. I suggest you use bigger balls than what I'm going to show you here, just because I've got 3 here. The 10 centimetres is a great size. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 10 centimetres, because it's a bit buffy, it gets a bit lost otherwise. And the way I normally put the balls on, and if you look up, there's a sample up above the doorway there with 3 sets of balls, is...
So usually in 3s, is it?
Yeah. This one doesn't want to. I might just do 2s for the demo. 3s. Just again, use the pipe cleaners. I don't untie it, and I'm just going to twist them in and twist it around. Yeah, of it. You can also use the ribbon or the tubing through it as well. So instead of doing that third layer, you could use ribbon or tubing to kind of incorporate everything if you wanted to.